Welcome back to another episode of Milk and Cookies presented by Milky. This week we are joined by the incredible Australian actor Daniel MacPherson. Welcome to the show.
Hello, hello. Mrs. Puggy Wuggy had a square cut punt.
Go on.
Mrs. Puggy Wuggy had a square cut punt, not a punt cut square, it was a square cut punt. It was round at the back, it was square at the front. Mrs. Puggy Wuggy had a square cut punt.
That was incredible.
Don't get that wrong in front of a kid's audience.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Anyway, that's
Yeah,
my
damn.
I'm vocally warm. I'm good.
I love that.
Hey guys.
Are you getting like the Wild Boys rebooted, all that
Yeah.
stuff?
Now listen, you and I have very different microphone styles.
Yeah.
Because you rap.
Yeah, I used to be a singer,
Yeah,
so
right.
I'm kind of like swallowing the mic. But I should probably not
no,
cover my
it's
face.
cool. I just was like,
Yeah.
am I too far away?
No. I think
No.
I should be further down. Cause then
No way.
Because honestly, when you do like the audio levels and I'm like screaming and everyone else is like fine.
Down there.
So I need to.
What
but-
kind of singing were you doing?
Okay, I think my favorite singing story is I was in a choir once, and we went from doing like Mozart's Requiem 1 week.
Yeah.
That was a tongue twister, and it wasn't even a tongue
Mozart's
twister.
Requiem 1 week.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
And then the next week we did like "Hit Me Baby One More Time" by Britney
brilliant.
Spears.
Yeah.
So like
So,
incredible.
great.
Yeah, but
Awesome.
I was mostly in like bands,
Yeah.
in like high school,
Sick.
fun stuff.
Where'd you grow
and
up?
Stuff. Marrickville.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, but I went to McDonald College
Yep.
in like
Yep.
North Strathfield.
Yeah.
Around there. Yeah.
I used to get the train in from Cronulla to go to school in the city. But
Oh, yeah.
a few McDonald College people on the train.
Yeah, represent.
There's always a little.
I know there's like
gang.
so many. It's so funny because I feel like when I was in high school, there was like Sarah Murdoch and like Josh Kwong Tart and like all these incredible people
Yeah.
that were at that time. And then now I'm like so many people from like because like I went to high school with like Aisha Madden from Heartbreak
yep.
High and all these other like
She's so great.
musicians. Yeah,
Yeah.
so great.
Yeah.
So funny because I see everyone all the time and it always feels like a high school reunion.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, well, it's been 10 years since I graduated, so I don't need to think about that. How
you
the
just-
high school
Yeah, little
I
young
skipped-
pups.
I skipped the 10-year reunion. I got so many messages that day being like, "You coming?" And I was really mean. I actually ignored them all, but I just didn't want to be.
Why?
I don't know. I just didn't want to go.
Too confronting or just
yeah, just I was
happy
like, to be fair,
I'm still looking forward, people.
yeah, I've not spoken to
Yeah.
most of you for like 9 years.
Yeah.
respectfully, love them.
I
Wish
didn't
them
go.
well.
I didn't go to my 25-year reunion. Yeah.
Damn.
Well, yeah. Mixed feelings about high school.
Yeah, right. You don't need to, and because it's like you go or you hang out with high school and all they want to do is talk about high school.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like so much
Yeah.
has happened since I spent more time out of high school than I did in high school. I'm not going to sit here and talk about
Yeah.
the cafe.
Truth be told, I ended up reconnecting with a lot of my year mates from. I went to Sydney Boys High in the city, and so I finished in '97. So I'm a little bit older than you guys, but they said that there were three main people, like three main groups when it came to like a big reunion. Like people were like, "Oh yeah, I loved Sydney High," or I think this happens with most schools. And then people were like, "Oh yeah, no, it's not for us." And then there was the group who was like, "Do not like contact me ever again. Like, I don't want to go back to those years." And so those high school years are tough, man. But no, thankfully I have gone back and I got good mates there, and it's nice to actually go through some of the trauma with your friends, you know.
Yeah, that is true. And like performing arts high school, so a lot of trauma.
My sister went to one.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, you
So,
get it.
yeah, and I've been around. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. And I've seen it. I've seen it on set and in theaters
Exactly.
and stuff. So,
Exactly.
but
Well,
you might be a little bit fresh to go back and be.
Yeah.
You got another couple of years in you
And they
before you
wanted
turn
to
back.
do it at like the steakhouse down the road from the school. Like that geographically, that's just too much for me.
We haven't moved far enough to
Yeah,
be
like-
celebrating
like,
a decade.
Let's do it
Yeah.
in Newtown. Let's do it down the road from where I live.
Yeah,
Sure, I'll
yeah,
come. But
yeah,
like
yeah.
going back to North Strathfield, I say like North Strathfield's like some kind of like jail town or something. I did love high school. Like I didn't
totally.
hate it, but
Yeah.
I just don't want to go back.
No.
You know, it's done.
That's. I think what we're talking about is processing those years. 12 to 17 or 12 to 18, where I didn't know who I was, and where I started in
Exactly.
year 7 was nowhere near where I was in
No.
year 12. And then because I got my first acting job on Neighbours was the night before my second last HSC exam.
Yeah. Right.
And so
Damn.
and I didn't want to be an actor. I didn't know I wanted to be an actor.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about. I was doing sport, and I was going to do economics or something like really boring and dry like that. And so suddenly the person I was a year or two after high school, which was a challenging time for me, and sounds like we're in the same boat. I didn't kind of look back for years.
So wait, you got that audition the day before you did your last exam. Were you then kind of like, well, if I mess up this exam, who cares?
Yeah, pretty much. So it was my second last. I think I had like 2 unit economics on the Friday, and I had 3 unit economics on the Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I got the call on the Thursday morning or something, and my mum answered the phone, and she was like, oh, okay, oh, that would be in Melbourne, okay, and I was like, what? She goes, that was Stephen, the agent that's representing you. You've just been offered an 18-month contract on Neighbours, and they're going to pay you this, but you'd moved to Melbourne in February, and and I was like the oldest of 3 kids. I was still 17. Like, you'd move out of home, and you're going to go and live in Melbourne for 2 years. And I was so shell-shocked. All I could think to do, I went and washed both of my parents' cars, like without them even asking. And my dad came and was like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm just washing the cars, Dad. It's like, why? And because that was my processing mechanism.
No, I swear that's like a thing. Like, something happens, you're like, it's time to clean my room.
Yeah, I just need to, like, something I can control.
Yeah.
Because so much of it was about, you lose so many variables, and my life had just kind of taken a path that wasn't under my control. And so I did. So the answer to your question was, I did the economics exam the next day. And then we've got the Carring Bar Hotel where you might be going. Had a nightclub called Coyotes. Ooh. And there was Northies at Cronulla, and a place called Dave's Place at the Tarrant Point Hotel that did $2 drinks, which we were drinking fire engines. So I had a fake ID, and so I went out Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, Monday, and I went into my 3-unit economics exam, which was my final HSC exam, with a 3-day hangover.
That's incredible.
Prepping myself for the entertainment industry.
Incredible.
So then I drove to Melbourne, and that was
end of school, Neighbours contract.
Marks were like 90, 80, 90, 90, 80, 40, 60, 40. You know, it's like, nah.
No, do you know? Okay, I did fairly well in the HSE, and then they did this thing like a few months after you graduate. It was called like the High Achievers Assembly, and I got invited back, and they gave me some award.
Oh, so you went to that?
Yeah, I did go to that. I think
celebrating more.
But then I was like, no, I don't want to leave high school. But my business studies teacher came up to me, and she's like, everyone keeps asking me why you got such good results in their class and such bad ones in mine, and I was like, you can tell them I didn't try. Like, I know I didn't try. You know I didn't try. We didn't love each other, so like you can tell them that, because the rest was fine.
But isn't it amazing? Like you know, and I still think you work out instinctively where your energy goes, and it's like, cool. I walk into this room, I don't gel with what you're saying, I don't gel with this person, I don't gel with the vibe of this. I'm not trying. Yeah. But I love this and I love that. Well, I'm going to do that.
Exactly.
And you know, I think back now, like I really weird sentence. I really enjoyed maths. Yeah. But I failed year 7. Yeah. And I really enjoyed my teacher. I thought he was really cool, and I thought he liked me. And I got really bad marks, and I got and it was, and he kind of wasn't supportive about it, and I went, fuck maths. Yeah. And I quit it as soon as I could. Same. But I think back now, it was so much about the environment and the teaching and the support, and so much of kids' lives are dictated by those rooms and those relationships and the people in charge of them. And it wasn't about the maths. Exactly. Because, so, and I think maybe I'll take a lot of that into work and into film sets and into whatever set you're on, and in a place of often, great, lucky to be in places of leadership on sets. That understanding how you can support and encourage and still guide and elevate and get the best out of a performance, but also a whole set. Yeah. And but maybe maths class back in year 7 did me a favor.
I failed in year 7 too. Yeah. And year 8 and year 9. Didn't in year 10. Year 10 I passed, and that was the only year, like, looking back, that I liked my teacher. Like, she was funny. Yeah. Like, she wasn't like, I mean, she was like cranky funny kind of thing. Like, she wasn't intentionally funny, but she was funny and it was good. And I remember. Did
she know she was humorous, or do you guys laughed at her?
She knew she was like humorous. She was like, I know I'm the funny one, but I'm also going to scream at you. Which I think was like a perfect blend. Great. And that's the only reason I don't remember how to do it now, but I remember knowing how to do like sine, cos, tan. I remember what Pythagoras theorem was for. Don't know how to execute it now because I don't need it, but like humor. That's the way to get through to kids.
You just said things I haven't heard since 1998, and I was like,
crazy. Yeah, it really takes you back to being a child.
You know?
Obviously, we are here to talk about Beast.
Yeah.
The new film, hitting Stan.
Yeah, really cool to have a home for it where, I think it's probably harder than ever to get people to go into cinemas these days. I'll be kind of controversial and say I don't think we are a natural cinema going country.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think you go to Europe, in the winter, you go to America, you go to these northern states in America where I was working in Chicago once, it was -20 outside. I went to the cinema, I saw 3 films in a day.
Yeah,
it was
wow.
perfect.
Yeah.
Here, I think we're naturally, we'd rather be at the beach, we'd rather be at the pub, we'd rather be anywhere else outside. And to that point, maybe we'd even rather be at the theatre or musical theatre or something like that these days. We'd rather be at an outdoor open air cinema on a Saturday night as an experience, as a communal experience, maybe oftentimes more than potentially going into the current version of the cinema experience. So to that end, we're really lucky that Stan came on board early on in the sort of the financing and the structuring of Beast, and that now it's got a home that people can access, 24/7. So it's got the visibility on the film that all the filmmakers and producers and myself really hoped we would get, and anyone hopes you get when you're making a movie.
Yeah, and Stan's just a great platform.
Great platform.
Because they have so much good Australian content as well, compared to any other. I was going to say social media platform. Any other streaming platform. Every single Australian production that is on there is fucking incredible. So
television, film, sport now, great stuff into sport. And then little plug, I'm an ambassador for Bus Stop Films, which is an inclusive filmmaking non-profit here in Australia. And some of the films that we've done and the Bus Stop films are housed on Stan as well. So I encourage you to go and check those out as well.
So going back to the beginning of this process, how did Beast and this role come to you? How did you arrive here?
I had been living and working in the US for a decade, which was great, and sort of came home during the pandemic and was sort of itching to get back overseas. And I was working on a show called Foundation, which was a big Apple TV sci-fi series, and that ended up taking 17 months to film. When it was supposed to take 4 or something during the pandemic. And so by that time, somehow I found myself. Right? You'll be finished one day. And then it came out 2 years after we filmed that. But life kind of threw me this curveball where I thought that I was going to be in the States and working over there. And through family and life and turning 40 and my son being born, and for all these reasons, I found myself living back in Sydney. Obviously, actors strike, writers strike, all this sort of stuff happening in the industry. But I found myself getting a job on a film called Poker Face, which was another Stan original that Russell and Liam and a lot of buddies were in, but Russell was directing as well. And it was the first time Russell and I worked together, and we'd known each other for a few years. That's
kind of crazy that was the first time you guys had worked together.
First time we worked together.
Yeah.
I mean, he went to Sydney Boys High as well, funnily enough. Yeah.
So a little high school reunion.
Little high school reunion. And, I was pretty far down the call sheet there, and he was directing, and it was a great cast. And then from that, I went on and they made me audition. But I went on to a film called Land of Bad, which was on the Gold Coast. And again, it was Liam and Luke Hemsworth. It was Milo Ventimiglia, Chica, who's fantastic, great, Ricky Whittle, great, international cast. And I knew the writer, Dave Frigerio, who was the writer of Beast, and we'd met in LA before. And so I reached out to David, and then Russell had put in a good word because we'd done Poker Face. But the character I thought I was going to get was one of these military Navy SEAL guys, because I'd done loads of that in America. And they were like, oh, no, this is this really small character, and he doesn't even have a name. And I was like, I'm not sure. And it's like, and it's the Gold Coast, and I'm not sure that there's budget to fly you up. And listen, man, it's up to you. My agent was like, listen, man, it's up to you, but there's no budget, it's up to you. And I went, hey, listen, I get to work with Russell one-on-one for 2 weeks in studio on the Gold Coast. And I rang the producers and the writers. I said, listen, you give this guy a name. So on my IMDb, it's not just the general or whatever. And I'll do it for, $2.
Yeah.
And they were like, great. His name's Colonel Packett. So great, I'm in. And so I got to go up and work with Russell again for the second time.
Yeah.
And that was a completely different experience. We're at the back end of the year, we're at the back end of the film. And that was like a workshop in acting gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
But what that led to was the producers and the writers watched us work and went, hey, we got this other film. It's an MMA film. It's called Beast. And you guys would be really good for that. So taking a job that had no money, that had no name, that, you know, people were like, oh, you sure you want to do this? I was like, no, I want to go and I get to work with one of the greatest cinema actors for 2 weeks in a studio. And I get paid to do it. Not much, but I get paid to do it. Like it's incredible. What an experience, what an extraordinary opportunity. And then that led to Beast. So we were given the script of Beast at the end of 22 when we were at Land of Bad and was supposed to be on set in 2023 and whatnot. But I'd never had any fight training. I'd never come from a fight background.
I was going to ask, like, how does one, I mean, obviously you played some like physically demanding roles, but like how does one like, because like these MMA fighters, they train like their whole lives kind of thing.
Totally.
And I mean, I don't know how much time you had, but
well,
like,
I had 8 months initially.
Yeah.
And exactly as you said, I was playing a guy that had been an ex-world champion. So he'd been training his whole life and then he was in his late 30s, early 40s. And I had to somehow learn that lifetime of experience and have it so naturally ingrained in my DNA.
That's wild.
So I started training so hard and I was boxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, because I knew that the film itself would live or die by anyone that looks at this guy. If you can't throw a punch, if that's not looking completely authentic, completely technically proficient, then any MMA fan's going to go, I'm not watching this. I'm just going to watch MMA. Because that's at the click of a button 24/7 as well. So it had to, not only did it have to be completely technically perfect or proficient, but it had to live in the weight of this guy. Thankfully, the money fell out, the schedules clashed, the locations got lost. There was a world where we were potentially going to do it with the UFC initially. Oh, wow. That didn't go ahead. We were introduced to one championship through a friend of mine, and one championship were incredible. We were able to come on and partner up with them, and we shot up with those guys in Thailand. But essentially, what was going to be 5 or 6 or 7 months of prep, I ended up getting 3 years.
Oh, incredible.
And so, and you know, and in the world of indie film and music or whatever, like, you just hope it's going to happen. Yeah. But it's like, well, I'm just going to keep working.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if it happens, let's turn every negative into a positive. Cool. It's fallen over again. All right. Well, I'm going to keep training. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the fighting. I fell in love with the training and the gyms that I was doing.
I mean, it would give you kind of like a newfound respect for it as well, like stepping into that world. Yeah.
Totally. And just that people around the world, men and women around the world, have devoted their entire lives to these arts, to these martial arts that have evolved over hundreds, if not thousands of years. And suddenly, you know, what a great gift as an actor to go, not only, and you have this realization that not only MMA is mixed martial arts, which means it's a multitude of martial arts that you have to learn to make, and then MMA is its own sport by itself. So the challenge was enormous. The challenge was extraordinary in a physical sense, on a technical sense. I started when I was 42. I was 44, 45 by the time we stepped onto set. So just trying to keep my body. You guys one day will realize, you know, that at this grand old age, you know, just even getting to set like in one piece was a challenge. But and then you got to turn around and you got to act opposite. One of the greatest of all time. Yeah. So it tested me on every level, but thankfully Russell talks about the movie gods quite a lot, but the movie gods were on our side, and that it finally got green lit when I was ready to go.
Yeah, that's perfect. Divine timing.
Right, absolutely. You gotta trust it. That's what this one I just noticed, like this ring is a yellow sapphire about amplifying the energy for my Vedic astrology sign, which is Jupiter. And funnily enough, we talk about the energy, got to go with the flow.
Yeah, so, I back that. Now, I'm neither an actor nor a fighter, but did any punches come at you where you're like, well, that's actually about to like hit my face?
Well, no, they did. They did. Many punches came at me, and I went, I was supposed to block that. Oh, shit. You know. So when the first thing everyone says, oh, did you get injured? I was like, well, yeah, I tore this and broke that and busted that and da da da. But oftentimes it was my own fault. It's like my hands were supposed to be there.
Yeah.
You know what they first thing they say about fighting is like protect yourself at all
Yeah.
times. It's like, oh yeah, cool. So you know, when your hand's meant to be here and it's over here, guess what? You get punched in the nose, and sometimes your nose is a bit bent, and you kind of got to get it back straight to match for continuity, while the camera's still rolling. Yeah. And so it was that kind of shoot. I wanted to bring that level of kind of immersive indie film commitment and authenticity to it. Again, if we're sitting in our trailers drinking lattes, letting the stunt guys and everybody else do the work, then it's missing a level of authenticity and of commitment, and that's not how I like working these days. And you know, and preface that by saying we're an incredible stunt team, incredible stunt doubles, and we could not have done it without them. But it was a movie where I wanted to be in there, kicking, punching, bleeding, sweating, crying, you know, throughout it all, because that's what the level of intensity that I wanted to bring to it. And I had great people around me like Bren Foster and his whole team, not only acting but the choreography, and great support from the MMA community here in Sydney and around the world. And so I just threw myself into it as intensely as I could for as long as I could.
And there's also, I mean, apart from the fighting side, there's also this kind of like mental side to your character and dealing with grief and kind of, you know, retiring, living a quiet life, being pulled back into the ring. So how did you kind of approach that side, and how did that influence your performance?
That was a completely different sort of skill set. So I had the actual fighting side, which is one sort of thing, and then the actual physical preparation of trying to get my body into shape and make it look the way I want it to look. So, which was muscles and body fat and physiotherapy and everything, and diet and the nutrition side of it. Then there was the sort of the character and script analysis, and then the actual performance. So there was all these kind of sectors that I've broken it down sort of into. But in terms of unlocking the character, again, you know, only comes from a bit more wisdom, you know, my early 40s and fatherhood and life experience of work and grief and divorce and loss and heartbreak and all the things that you accumulate throughout your life, those emotional kind of significant events. For me, once I unlocked that Patton was a man fighting for his own identity and his own purpose, and to reclaim his identity, as well as he was fighting for his marriage, and he was fighting for his child, and he's fighting for his brother, and he's fighting to reclaim and right past wrongs. But ultimately, you talk about, and we see it so much in society these days, of people who've been successful when they're young, particularly in sport. We see it in this country a lot, and their identity is particularly tied to that level of success and who they are at that point in their lives. I've seen it a lot with friends who've come in and out of the military, and particularly high level in the military. You come out of this transition where you're still quite young, but your entire identity and what you've dug into has been lost. And so again, talk about age, but you know, I particularly, you know, mid-30s to mid-40s, and then you've got this fucking epidemic of suicide around the world, and the data, you know, it's not limited to men, but the data around men is just heartbreaking. And so when I was able to identify that this character was like the perfect candidate who would take that as a way out, he was like struggling financially, he was struggling to provide for his family, he was struggling to be a good husband, he was struggling with his fractured relationships of fathers and brothers and all this sort of stuff, and a loss of identity, because he experienced the highest of highs. For me, it was then about a love letter to those who need it, and friends of mine who've passed, about a man choosing to fight for himself and for his purpose, and fight boldly and courageously, to get out of where he is.
Yeah.
And I think that's resonated around the world, which has been great. I'm really, really proud of that.
No, I think that's like, because obviously you look at the film like at base level and it's like, it's a fighting film, but I do love that like the real fight is kind of that internal one. It's like, it's so beautiful and so poignant how it's done as well.
Thank you. And there's been so many wonderful comments of people that have seen the film around the world and particularly come out of cinemas going, I didn't realize this was a family story.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this was a marriage story. I didn't realize that the female characters and voices was so strong in this story.
Yeah.
And that's lovely to surprise people, because I think also we were dictated by Lionsgate in the US, who were the first to buy the film. And,
which is so awesome.
And incredible, 1,200 screens around the US, but they really, really sort of dived in on the MMA aspect.
Yeah.
And great, you can get into the MMA audience, and there's a huge audience there.
Yeah.
But maybe that came at the cost of really understanding what the film is.
Yeah, right.
Because both people coming out going, I didn't expect to be crying.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to be cheering, screaming, crying, you know, all these
That's what
things.
you want.
And that's exactly that's why I do it, you know.
Yeah.
That's the best response. And so the satisfying takeaway is it's so much more than a MMA film, and I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, I love that. And so we also get like these glimpses into the relationships, I guess, particularly yours and Russell's character and the relationship between like a trainer and a fighter. Obviously, Amy Shark plays a trainer as well, which is super fun. We love Amy. But what do you think kind of like, I guess, playing that relationship and feeding into it, examining it, has helped kind of like influence the way you approach relationships now?
Great question. The Russell or Sammy Patton, so Russell and my character in Beast, got to that kind of crunchy spot through just a pure lack of communication. And you've got two bullish, headstrong men choosing not to communicate over a decade. Yeah. Because it's painful and hurtful, and they've been hurt, and that's something that I've got better at as I've got older. Is communicating those kind of uncomfortable conversations when you can say, hey, and it feels like, again, I'm about to say it, but it feels like an un-Australian, un-masculine thing to say, which is a horrible thing to think about our psyche, to go, hey, you hurt my feelings. Yeah. And the fact that even now, I go, oh, that's a hard thing for men around the world to say. Yeah. In any sentence, let alone potentially in this country. Exactly. You know. So I've been better in my life at communicating and owning and taking ownership of my feelings and expressing that, and I think the more important the relationship and the friendship, the more responsibility I take on to try and communicate better. Yeah. Which is, again, something that's only come with age, and unfortunately, I've lost friendships and I've lost, relationships for not being able to do that very well when I was younger. But it comes with growth. It comes with age, and it comes with learning. And I think if we stop learning, then we might as well just give up. Yeah. And I think that's career advice, and that's life advice, and that's something I tell my son. Is the joy of being 46 and still feeling at the very beginning of life and career and adventure comes from sort of the mantra of never stop learning, never stop growing, never stop sort of self-analyzing and going, great, where can I improve? Where can I be better? Where can what kind of shit can I leave behind? What stuff is not helping me? What is not serving me? And that sort of critical self-analysis in a kind of non-judgmental way is something that I learned to do a bit better as I've got older as well.
Yeah, I back that, because I'm nearly 30.
You pup. Yeah. God bless you.
I know. But
you don't look it.
Thank you so much. That's my favorite compliment. Yeah. And my hair. But the other night I was with some friends who were like in their early 20s. And I remember there was like I don't know, two of them had a fight or whatever, and one said like, oh, they like really upset me that like you didn't offer to come home and make sure I was okay and blah blah blah. And there were people around my age being like, oh my god, like that's piss weak. Like,
Wow.
why are you going on about that? And I was like, no, like this kid, he's expressing his feelings. He wants his friend to know how he felt. He doesn't want it to like erode their relationship. I was like, it's kind of crazy that this like 20-year-old kid is like teaching like a 28-year-old like how to behave.
So does that 8 years, does that feel like, what does that gap feel like? Does that feel like a generation? Does that feel 2 generations?
It definitely feels maybe kind of like 2-ish generations, because like I literally turned 30 in like 5 or 6 months, so like I'm like, you know, at that point. And then I have friends who like mid-20s who are also completely different to like the ones in their early 20s. So I definitely feel like there's I think it's essentially like 2-ish generations. But then it's like they tell me they don't know who Lizzie McGuire is. Like, how do you know who Lizzie McGuire is?
I feel like the bandwidth of the good, yeah. I feel like the bandwidth of the differences in the generations has got smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
In that, you know, we might go, it's 5 or 10 years, you know, 40s, then the guys in their 30s, but then, you know, for you guys and younger, look, I feel like there's these dramatic life changes where, particularly like technology and lifestyle and whatnot, like things, my son, I think of it in terms of my son who's 6, but these guys are going to grow up in an era. You know, we were, my generation was like the last ones that grew up and went to school without computers or with internet, or didn't have a mobile phone. And your life was like pre-smartphone or pre-social media and stuff like that. Like, and that's only going to change. And, you know, my son's going to grow up with AI. Completely grow up with AI.
Yeah, it's going to be normal for him.
So I'm fascinated by that as coming into 30, because 30 was a really significant shift in my life.
I'm excited.
For 30, I feel like you're ready for it.
I think
you know,
so
the
too.
fact that you're
like
7 months out, still going, I'm, you know, I can see it. It's great.
Yeah, I know. It's like, and then like the younger ones, they're like, oh my god, you're turning 30, and I'm like, yeah, but like, I'm an adult.
Yeah, bitch.
I'm pretty sure I know who I am, at least like a lot better than I did 10 years ago. Totally. So like, and everyone always says like your 30s is like kind of your best. Well, they say your 30s is better than your 20s.
Did you see the disappointment in my eyes?
I did. I was like, wait, no. No,
I reckon for me, when I turned 30, it all made sense. And I felt like I looked back and went, and everything dropped in. I went, I know who I am a bit better. I know what I want to do a bit better. I got my lessons a bit better. And I look back at my 20s and go, wow, that was wild. I didn't know a thing. That was crazy. I was bouncing around everywhere. And then I think it just improves again. Like, you know, I feel like there's a grounding and a power that came with turning 40, and it spins me out. I'm going to be 50 in 4 years. Like, that's a spin out.
Damn.
But you're in a great place, man. You are going to... No, thank you. It's good. Got each other.
See, I feel like my 20s was weird. I think like, this is going to sound depressing. I think at 25, I became like increasingly aware of my mortality, and I'm like, okay, this is all going to end one day. And then at 28, I think I was like, nothing can kill me. And then now I'm 30, and I'm like... in a sweet spot between the two.
Between those two for the rest of my life.
Like, okay.
I'm invincible.
It's going to end one day, but I should have fun.
Yeah.
And it should be a great time until then.
But I reckon I woke up at 35 with a sore back and love handles. And I was like, where did they come from? What was that? It's like, welcome to your mid-30s. Okay. You know, so...
I'm excited.
you got lots of cool stuff ahead.
I'm excited.
How does it inform you artistically?
Like
as you sort of evolve and grow and leave your 20s behind.
I think I definitely know more what I'm comfortable with, but also feel like I am now more so enjoying like experimenting more, and kind of, I think maybe in my 20s I was too focused on like being the best or making the best kind of thing, whereas now I'm like, I just kind of want to do something different, and I want to do something that's going to make, I guess, like, to sound like cliche, like feed my soul more, because I feel like throughout, especially maybe the last, or like before 2025, So maybe like 2020 to 2024, even though there was a pandemic and all that stuff.
We don't talk. There's a whole there's a whole gap in there.
I definitely feel like the way I approached everything became like way too structured, because I was like, I know what I'm doing now. Like I know the formula and whatnot. And then I just kind of really got over it and like didn't want to do anything anymore. Yeah. And now it's kind of about, I guess taking on things that are more challenging and make me feel more proud of what I'm doing. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
Is that interesting? So not to analyze it too much, but I probably because I was similar, and I worked for network television for years, and that gave me this in my 20s and 30s, and it gave me this great lifestyle, and I made loads of money, and I could travel loads and buy a nice car and house and stuff. But it was always about other people's expectations. Yeah. So when you talk about trying to be the best or trying to be here, exactly, there's a competitive thing that is in relation to other people. Yeah. And then I think as you grow and evolve, and you're doing it now early, but it took me much longer to go, well, when you're really proud of what you're doing, it's not about other people. It's you want to do what makes you satisfied and what creatively you want to do. And that's a place of freedom, I think. Mm-hmm. So great, man. Awesome. Yeah.
And then it's also like social media plays into it so much, because you see how much like I have like that setting on where like you can't see how many likes other people have and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm just like, I then think, well, why do they get more likes than me or whatever?
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Like, yeah. That's and so it's like, or like, this is terrible, but like I have some people like muted because I'm like, I love you and I love your work and like we're friends, but just sometimes it just wigs me out and I just need to like protect my peace.
My mute list is bigger than my follow list.
Yeah,
like
right?
It's about it's about as big as my followers. Like it's like I And
then once someone was like, you don't like my posts, like, do we have a problem? And I'm like, I just don't check Instagram much. Like, they don't watch
muted
this.
You.
But,
yeah.
That's healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's also that thing of going, these phones were designed initially to be of our convenience. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have to be bringing in energy and information that makes you feel anxious, that makes you feel uncomfortable, that like, you can control. Yeah. And obviously we're all in control of our own reactions and blah, blah, blah. But it's if it's not making you feel good, stop doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I agree. Now, have you ever delved into like singing?
I did when I was young.
Okay.
I toured musical theatre straight out of Neighbours, but I was terrible at it. So I couldn't dance. I could sing a little bit, but I did pantomime, and then I toured Godspell the musical around the UK.
Wow.
And then I just ruined loads of barbecues with an acoustic guitar all throughout my 20s and half my 30s. But yeah, my son's super musical, and his mum is incredibly musical, and his mum's family are incredibly musical. So I kind of keep plenty of guitars and instruments around the house, and we sing a lot, because I think also that's really healthy. Yeah. As much as loving it, but I think it's really healthy.
It is. Because I was thinking, like, Amy Shark's delved into film and starred alongside you. Isn't the natural progression not you featuring on an Amy Shark song?
Well, I thought that her video about Daniel, it was like text was like, but no, I said to her straight away, I was like, cool, now you've done the movie, I want to be in one of your film clips.
Yeah.
So that was the trade-off.
Honestly.
So Sharky, if you're watching, I'm waiting for the call. But yeah, I want to be in an Amy Shark film clip.
Yeah. I back that.
I don't know if I sing, but
I think sing.
Come on.
I think do it.
Why not?
Why not? Have fun.
Hold it up here. Yeah, all right.
Get a guitar.
Do a little rap.
Like you said earlier, you guys filmed in Thailand?
Yeah, Sydney, Wollongong, Port Kembla, Shell Harbour, and then Bangkok, Thailand.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Like, because you guys actually filmed an MMA fight, if I'm correct, right?
10,000 people, 10,000 MMA fans at the biggest probably MMA event in Southeast Asian history, in one championship history. 10,000 people, sold out, 3 championship fights, and the title fight was 2 incredible Thai fighters, Superbon and Tawanchai, and so it was amazing. And we got to film. We were in that arena for 5 days filming, but we got to shoot between all the fights that night. We'd jump in for 5 or 10 minutes. So that was kind of like the big boss final test for that 3 years of prep was like we had to jump in there with the cameras were all outside. The cameras were all big wide shots and cranes. So I was in an octagon with a 10-time world champion professional MMA fighter with no choreography and 10,000 people screaming at us going.
Crowd. And they all know, like, if you're throwing a punch and it looks wrong, they're going to know.
They know. They're like, but we got the crowd on the side. And I've never experienced like, they said, you got to choose your own walkout song.
Yeah.
So I chose Wake Up by the Rage Against the Machine. So I was the fittest I've probably ever been in my life. It was like the leanest body fat I've ever got to. Cauliflower ears on. Like, I'm never going to look tougher and meaner. And we walk up and the whole crowd's watching. And I've got Rage Against the Machine blasting. And I just do like this scream and the crowd screams. And then I get to walk out and, they put the Vaseline on, everything and check your mouth guard. And then you get up and you open the cage and jump into the octagon. And the announcer's like, and from Australia, Patton, Jerry. Yeah, this is sick. So an experience I'll never forget. Yeah. And then also too, then they locked the cage, and I was like, just like, oh wow, you're like in this cage, like gladiatorial Roman times, with 10,000 people frothing and screaming and cheering, and there's another dude in there that wants to kill you.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah, that's wild.
It was incredible. It was incredible to get to experience it at that level.
Yeah.
As opposed to in a studio or a green screen or a LED screen or whatnot. I got the closest I'll ever get, and most people will ever get, to experience what that would be like. Yeah. Other than a professional MMA fighter.
Yeah, damn.
Incredible.
Damn. What messages do you hope people take away from the film?
It's kind of working out what you love and fighting wholeheartedly for it. And I know that sounds, you look at that on a really superficial level and go, we want me to go and punch people. It's like, no, actually, to really work out what's important and to really fight wholeheartedly and passionately for an outcome for those that you love. I think everyone in this day and age could find something in their life that life gets so busy. It's so intense and it's so busy and it's so noisy and there's so much going on and there's wars and diesel and politics and all the bullshit, interest rates, fucking whatever. That to take some time away from the noise and to really just think about what's important and what you can fight for.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
How about that?
That's so beautiful. Now to finish off, I need to know, what are your top 5 Australian films? It's really hard.
Wow, surprised me. That's okay. All right, I'm gonna have to close my eyes because I'm a highly visual person. There's a film called Siam Sunset. Roy Billings was in. It was originally written by Andrew Knight, but I really liked that film. It had a lot of heart to it. It was really special. I'm gonna go. I'm just ripping through people I know, things I've seen, things I love. I'm going back through eras. Jeez, this is really hard. Because then I always go, what's shot in Australia? It was an Australian film. Was that an Australian movie? Can I give you a couple? Actually, can I just give you a couple of directors?
Yeah.
Because
no, I'd love that.
I love Warwick Thornton, and it's hard to, choose Samson and Delilah, which is extraordinary. But his whole body of work is incredible, and his work is just as a cinematographer is also stunning, as well as his jobs as a filmmaker. I love that Ivan Sen has gone down an entire road of doing exactly what he wants to do, and I love that. George Miller, also Sydney Boys High alumni, changed the landscape of Australian cinema throughout his career. And there was this great line in Foundation, which is repeated luck is never luck. And I feel like that's with something like with Dr. George, he just give me a miss. I don't know if there's been a miss. Then, when I was watching movies, I grew up in that era when all my buddies were doing amazing things like Animal Kingdom and Snowtown, and watching guys like Justin Kurzel, who I think is an incredible director. I'd love to work with him. Crocodile Dundee.
Fuck yeah. Make sure to tune in next time for more of season 2 of Milk and Cookies presented by Milky.